Hello, hello. So, greetings. I I was I was just thinking, right? Just pondering. Actually, all these videos are kind of just me pondering. But how do I say this? I was thinking about like advice that I would tell my past self. Obviously, there's a lot. Obviously, there's a lot. Um, Past self and others, by the way. Um, Again, there's a lot. But I do have to say that for me, I think it ultimately depends, like what I'm gonna say, what advice I choose, right? I think it ultimately depends on where where the person is at that time, because, for example, let's say me, right, like a past version of me, uh, in certain parts, of my life, I would have said the most important thing I should have learned was I have to be more kind with myself, because I have a tendency to like optimize, to push, to always be trying to innovate and grow to, you know, an extent that, looks good on my resume, right? Like makes me capable of doing a lot of things, right? Makes me competent, but it also makes me like as a person, less like, I'm not gonna say less unhappy, but it makes it hard to just quote unquote play. Like it hits a point where I have a hard time just enjoying something. There also has to be more, you know, more like some motive or like some. Sorry, I have class in a few minutes, but yeah, that's it. Yeah, so it's like I have to be kinder, allow myself to just exist, right? But other times, it was less about kindness. It was more about how do I say it? It wasn't about kindness. It was more about what's the term? Uh, like the speed. Like I was too. What's it? I was trying to like uh be like something so fast. Like I didn't allow myself to just slow down and exist. Now that's a problem I had more later on, college age. Like I mean not this year, but like past years, right? Um, like I don't know. I'm in my fourth, so probably maybe my second year. I kept on trying to like really push it, trying to really like like, oh, we gotta do this, and just like, no, I should just exist. Um, I don't know if I'm gonna take a second like major. This might be, excuse me, this might be my only one, and by extension, it might be the only time I get to quote unquote have those college days, right? It's like, probably in my second year, I would have said like, hey, you need to slow down. It's fine, you know, like, and plus to slow down doesn't imply to lessen quality. That's a misconception I was very prone to, but I think it needs to be said. It's That's not the case, like, for example, as I'm studying for an exam, right? Like, I've already run through the material. Right? I already know, I already know everything to the best of my ability, and I can't even understand. Excuse me, and I can't even understand what's remaining, right, of the lesson, and I only have like, no, it's gonna be the what's it, like the night before, right? So am I really gonna try to like lose sleep and then just start to grind it out and then answer the exam sleep deprived? Answer sleep deprived and then tired, Then after that, I'm like completely just mentally out of it for the next few days after that or something, right? Like just again, just like absolute, sleep deprived and like effectively what I do is I choose to prioritize that thing, that exam, that moment instead of all the other stuff. And what could have been, shit, I slightly messed up an exam. It suddenly turns into, oh shit, um, I kind of messed up my entire week, to some extent. No, I mean not maybe not entire week, like half of it, right? Because I spent so much time focusing on this that I have like it delays my progress on other outputs, and on top of that, I just feel like like shit, I feel horrible, right? That's what I mean. Where excuse me, that's what I mean. Where what do I say? Like I could have slowed down. I could have said, "Hey, there's no need to like, we could just like sit and like exist." Right? Because I could be kind to myself in that moment, in the sense of my words, right? I could console myself, right? I can make myself feel better to some extent, right? But am I really being kind to myself if I'm, moving at such a pace that it's causing me suffering? You know what I mean? Like, no, I could slow down. For other points of my life, I might tell someone you should have been, well, no, might tell a version of me more of that. um while it's okay to be kind to yourself, I should find the balance between being kind to myself and being hard to myself, right? For some it would be, don't commit like the fault of comparison, because it's a slippery slope, right? Another thing for me at least is like more for me, and while this is important advice for me, I don't know if it's what I'd say to most other people in most other contexts, but for me, because uh, I began music at a young age, I what's the term? Like because I was like growing up doing music, I on to some level have like associated worth, as in like my worth as a human, to uh on some level at least to my skill level, you know. Like that's why a part of me keeps pushing myself, keeps like trying to be more and more, because because I did it for so long. It's like a part of my, worth is like associated with that. And even if I try to say like, hey, it's all about expressing yourself, I do admit that it's like if I don't do something that hits my personal goals, right? I do beat myself up over it, right? At least before. Now it's a bit different. That's a longer story, but yeah, it's like for at least for me, I would have said. While I guess a part of it is be kind to yourself, another thing is, hey, we could not associate that with like the worth of a human. You know what I mean? Yeah, like there's that. For another advice, depending on the person, would have been like, or depending on the situation that I was in, would have been, don't be afraid to cut out that person, like in your life. But then, on the flip side, is like another advice I would have told a version of me in a certain context would have been, you know, be kinder to other people, be more patient with them. It's it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag because there's no solution to life. I don't believe there's a like an end all be all. As much as there is like, and I don't know here. I don't believe there's a single point of solution, but I do believe there's this zone, right? There's this zone of what's good for everyone, and ideally, once we're in that zone, we stay in that zone and we engage in a way that's conducive to, you know, what's good for each other. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I gotta I gotta go. I'm gonna be late to class. So yeah, see ya. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much.